Some time ago, I was talking to a layperson, civilian, a non-teacher. And he said, "So, what's your opinion of the Common Core?" It's kind of a loaded question these days. So I talked about practice standards. I talked about the math standards, but also the practice standards for ELA and next generation science standards. And he thought those sounded like pretty good ideas and kind of interesting. But he also thought they were kind of highfalutin and said, "Those sound like the habits of mind of genius. Do we really expect every student to be an Einstein or a Shakespeare?" And that made me think of one of my favorite quotes of all time. This is the first part of that quote coming up right here. It's from John Taylor Gatto, who was a New York City Teacher of the Year 3 times and a New York State Teacher of the Year, and taught for 30 years and a long time. And at the end of his career came to the conclusion that genius is as common as dirt. This is a conclusion that I've also reached, and it's a assertion that I hold very strongly. He wrote this in an essay called Against School, which is a critique of the American public education system as this kind of warehouse to produce drones for the system by crushing that genius. He says schools numb creativity, normalize boredom, coerce compliance and conformity, create dependence on external validation, and create this sort of network of mutual surveillance. These are critiques of the system that I actually have sympathy with. I think our system does a lot of these things. One thing I don't agree with that Gatto came up with was his solution to this, which was homeschooling, which he sees as this sort of libertarian escape from this controlling institution. I have a lot of problems with the idea of homeschooling, not the least of which is that I think it exacerbates a lot of the sort of social inequities that we're trying to ameliorate, a lot of us, in our work. After all, households have wider variance in access to resources and experiences than even school sites have. So it would just widen a lot of those gaps and problems. But I think if we're going to attack problems like social inequality, we can't ignore the critiques that Gatto made of the system. And one thing that worries me a lot is that we focus so much on certain outcomes and norms that nothing new can come into the system, and it can't really be transformative. We talk about college and career readiness, but when I look around the world and think about the state things are in right now, I really have to question the viability of the post-secondary options that we're corralling students into. And it makes me think that our best hope, maybe our only hope, is that the students we're working with will come up with new ways of learning, new ways of living, new ways of organizing society that you and I have not yet even imagined. The good news is they're up to the task. It turns out that humans are wired to learn. And that means the youngest students entering our system have that wiring intact. And our job is really to let them be and to protect that so it doesn't get crushed by the system. So for the rest of this presentation, I'm going to recite to you a poem I wrote a while back about these ideas and let you see pictures of 4- and 5-year-olds doing what humans are wired to do. The poem is called Genius. Genius is as common as dirt. It comes before us every day. Little Shakespeares conjuring worlds with words that we no longer say as forcefully or carelessly as they do. Playing on the yard, digging in the concrete cracks, they find the pebble or the shard that only their intent makes rare, the way distraction makes them free. And if their will to play could mend our broken will to let them be, we wouldn't have them stand in lines again, or sit in squares with crisscrossed legs on checkered rugs, or turn their searching eyes to stares. The system that Gatto described that threatens to numb the genius that these students come into our system with, it also threatens us. It threatens to break our will to let them be. And we have to fight against that. And the best way we can fight against that is to take strength in their will to play, and their will to learn, and their will to grow. To truly transform the system we work in so that it can transform society would take an inordinate amount of genius. But the good news is, genius is a resource that is all around us every day. Thank you.